Привет из Дубая! С вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about requests and let's start with the definition.
We think that people or person who never ask for help is a strong one, but no, we are social animals and we work in teams to achieve bigger goals. So to have a request to someone is quite usual, and this is a sign of a really strong man. If you are going to do something which could be done by yourself, so you're using the goal of your size. You're small and your goal is small. But when you have something bigger than you could ask for help. You could request for help, for money, for time, for resources, and how to make this request, how to achieve your goal, how to be polite. This is a skill about.
So when it comes to requesting the person, what should we be aware of? Like what may be different variables or maybe the context, basically all of the building parts that we should, or all of the moving parts that we should need to consider in order to make our request successful.
First, you should have a scale. On this scale, you should weight your appeal, your request. Is it worth to ask? Is it the right person? Do you have a social debt? Or maybe you will have a social credit. If this person owe you a favor, you could make request in easy way. But maybe you have asked for several times, and this person rather will reject your request. So you should be as polite as possible. Second, you should think about usefulness, польза, use.
Usefulness.
Usefulness. Is it okay for this person to help you? Maybe it will also gain some goals, or maybe you will offer an exchange. If you will help me in this case, I will help you in another case. I could do this better, and this is my offer for you. So let's make a trade-off. And third, you should understand that if you ask in just one person, if you request in just one individuality, you will not achieve too much. So better to work in teams, and you should make a goal, a value to propose not to one individuals, but to several.
And let's say if we would use the same request protocol or same request assessment for ourselves, should we apply the same kind of rules when it comes to when someone asking us about something as well?
You know, there is several ways. First, you should understand in which cycle goes the person which are requesting for something. For example, it could be a relative, it could be your neighbor, it could be your colleague, it could be something you never know. And then you should understand, are you ready to make a gift to this person in timing, in money, in resources, in something? For example, if someone requests you to help to cross the road, it's easy one and it doesn't require too much. But if someone requests you to sit with a newborn baby, it's even dangerous one. Or maybe let's help to move this dog with broken leg to vet lab. It's also worth some time. But maybe if before this request you were smiling each to other, you were drinking coffee and so on, so you have like social debt and social linkage. So maybe it worth it.
And when it actually comes to asking about the favors or the requests or even appeals, probably there might be like a different ways or even the different levels of mastery in the way of doing that with the finesse. So can we also look into top three of them?
The easiest one to use the so-called flirt to make it a bit sexy. When you are young, when you have a strong body, neither you women, neither you men, you could use it. Second, you could make a gift. For example, you know that the favor would cost for someone something, and you have maybe something which you not in use. For example, maybe you have an iPhone of previous version, or maybe AirPods, or maybe some gasoline канистра.
Gas tank.
Maybe you have a spare gas tank you could offer. Maybe you have some coupons. Maybe you have some discount cards and so on. And on the last ladder, you could offer a money. But money is a dangerous one. If you start to using money with person, you never could switch to another kind of currency.
And actually, I also wanted to talk about the case when you do have like a request for the person, but you turn the things in a way that actually they would be offering to you the exactly thing that you need, and instead of you asking for it. So how to go about this case when you actually kind of make someone to do something for you? Would it be still considered as a request?
Yes, it would be. If you will create on demand to help you, and if you will put some pressure or some manipulations, and other people will use their force, their power to give you, they will think that now you are in debt. And if you will not pay it in a short way, maybe with chocolate bar, maybe with some pleasant favor, they will think that you are using them.
And maybe to even slightly expand more in this case, sometimes and I experience that as well, you don't want to ask the person directly because it will be like a strong no, but they usually would say some sort of like an assistant or whatever. For example, let's say there is a big boss and there is a secretary who's sitting there. So you just need to make sure you make friends with them and you wrap your request properly to make sure that it will be delivered in the right way, in the right timing to this person. So how to go about like building those relationships and making such requests through the third party people?
We learn how to do this in proper way in another skill which is called networking. If you know a lot of persons, usually you could make a porridge from an eggs. There is a Russian fairy tale, and it's very easy. If you will create chain of favors, maybe you will get your request fulfilled without any further payment, and maybe even without debt. It's so-called clearance or clearing.
And when it also comes to a different context, there might be like a different timings or different mood of the people they are, or maybe even understanding whether they can able to fulfill your request as of now, or maybe they can delay it. How to get a good sense of the timing of the context so that you really put it as a bullet and it actually will hit the goal.
You need a reason. There is several books about manipulation and about how to influence people, and in all of them is the same advice. If you want to do something in a very short period, you should find a proper explanation. And if you will give this to people, they will gladly accept it. The word "because" much important than the reason you will give it after.
And when it actually comes to not accepting the request, but let's say refusing to request, so maybe we can look into it like from two sides, from the person who is getting the request and they need to say no, like how to do it, like do we need to be polite or do we need to completely be blunt and say just no and that's the period? And even from our side, like how do we need to think about the person, like whether we want to put them in the position when they will be denying our request, and maybe we actually will try to avoid that.
Yes, for sure. Everyone wants to be accepted when applying for request for appeal. So you should think, how do you like this person? If you like this person and you will ask for something, usually they will gladly help. But if you are even slightly enemies, it is in another conditions, in another scale, in another dimension. So you should offer something more valuable. Maybe with this favor you will start a new friendship, or maybe you will become more enemies. If you are denying something, you couldn't use just a period. I deny and I will not do nothing. Better to make an exchange today, or this I couldn't fulfill, but in another day or another favor, I already own you.
And when it comes to the strategic approach of making requests, like probably, I mean, again, I probably would remember one of the skills that we were discussing. So the thought is like when you need to go into the fight or something, and if you actually have to take fight, that you mean you lose. So basically, it's better to prepare in advance so that you don't ask for something the moment you need it, but you think hard about it in advance so that you make all of the strategic steps in order to make sure when you go through this funnel, it will be successful. So what should be approach in this case?
No, you should use your life like a game. There are several strategies. First, you have almost nothing and you are easy one and you are going to explore all the territories. But suddenly you will find a strong enemy and you will be defeated. Second, you will sit tight in your position and you will discover as many resources you could find. And if someone will approach you or you will approach, you will offer something. So better to know a lot of. People always ask me, why should I type so fast? Why should I read so fast? Why do I need to have a memory? Why do I need personal efficiency or operational excellence? And I always say them, this is like a currency. If you have it, you could exchange, but you have not these skills. You have nothing to offer.
That's well said. And my last question will be how knowing about requests could help to make this world a better place.
We started from this point. Not too many people are there to request something. There is a anecdote in Russian language. Two women talk to each other while they drink wine, and one of them sadly says, I want to have such a big salary, but no one offer it. And another woman asks, but how much do you want monthly? But this first woman say, I don't know exactly, but I want so much that no one could give me. So if your request has no borders and couldn't be measured, you would be denied. But if you request not too much and you have a lot to offer, usually your request will be fulfilled.
А мы рассмотрели навык просьба и чем он полезен именно вам. Всем мира!